KRYX had stalked prey across 17 star systems, standing nearly 8 feet tall on digitigrade legs, with obsidian fur that seemed to absorb light itself, and eyes that glowed like molten copper. The Valthrakian hunter was apex predation incarnate. 3 rows of retractable claws, each capable of shearing through combat armor, decorated each massive paw. A ridge of bioluminescent quills ran along KRYX's spine, quills that flared crimson when hunting, white when challenged. They had never flared white. Not once in KRYX's 23 cycles of existence. The hunter's reputation preceded every arrival. On mining colonies, workers fled to sealed bunkers. Pirate stations went dark and silent. Even the Krathan war forms, 7-ton reptilian berserkers, gave KRYX's ship a wide berth in neutral space. Fear was a scent KRYX knew intimately, having bathed in it across 100 hunts. When the distress beacon led KRYX to the derelict transport ship Meridian's Hope, the hunter expected the usual. Cowering survivors, desperate pleas, perhaps a few foolish souls attempting resistance before the inevitable. What KRYX found instead was Evan. The human sat cross-legged in the ship's ruined engine room, surrounded by a chaos of scattered tools, severed power conduits, and the gutted remains of what had once been a quantum drive assembly. He wore grease-stained coveralls, his dark hair stuck up at odd angles, and he was humming, some discordant tune while wrist-deep in the drive's photonic core. KRYX's entrance should have been terrifying. The airlock hissed open with explosive force. The hunter's massive frame filled the doorway, backlit by emergency lighting that cast long, predatory shadows. The quills along KRYX's spine rose and flared in their hunting crimson. Evan looked up, blinked twice, and said, "Oh, thank God. You got hands." The question was so absurd that KRYX simply stared. Hands. Paws. Whatever. Evan gestured vaguely at KRYX's claws with a torque wrench. "I need someone to hold the resonance chamber steady while I realign the flux couplings. Been trying to rig a stability field, but the gravity plating's shot, and everything keeps drifting." In 17-star systems, across hundreds of encounters with dozens of species, no one had ever looked at KRYX and seen anything but death approaching. "You know what I am." KRYX's voice emerged as a subsonic growl that made the deck plates vibrate. "Valthrakian, right?" Evan squinted upward. "Apex predator species from the outer rim. Reputation for being terrifying hunter-killers." He paused, seeming to actually consider this for the first time. "Wait, are you here to eat me? Because I really need to get this drive operational first. We're drifting into a gravity well, and I'd rather not be conscious when we hit atmospheric compression." The sheer pragmatism broke something in KRYX's predatory assessment matrix. This human faced imminent death and was negotiating the timing of his own consumption based on repair schedules. "I am not here to eat you," KRYX said slowly. "Great. Then grab that resonance chamber. No, the cylindrical thing with the blue glow. Yeah, that one. And hold it right there." And because KRYX had never encountered a situation quite like this, because every social protocol the hunter knew had just been completely bypassed, KRYX found themselves holding a resonance chamber while a human hummed and adjusted flux couplings. "You're not afraid," KRYX observed after several minutes of silence. "Of you." Evan glanced up briefly. "Should I be? Every sentient being I have encountered has feared me." "Huh." Evan returned to his work. "That must get boring." Boring. 23 cycles of being the galaxy's most feared predator, and this small human called it boring. "It is effective," KRYX said, uncertain why they felt the need to justify anything. "Sure, but effectiveness isn't everything." Evan's hands moved with practiced precision through the drive assembly. "Take this quantum drive. Technically, I could just bypass the damaged sections and get maybe 40% efficiency. That'd be effective, get us out of the gravity well. But if I actually fix the core resonance pattern, we get full functionality. Takes longer, requires more skill, but the result is better. You compare my nature to engine repair. I compare everything to engine repair. It's what I know." Evan smiled slightly. "Little to the left, perfect. Now, I'm not saying fear isn't useful, but if everyone just runs away, you never get interesting conversations, do you?" KRYX considered this. Considered the decades of bared teeth and whimpered pleas, of prey too terrified to speak beyond begging. When had the hunter last had a conversation? Why are you not afraid? KRYX asked finally. Evan sat back, wiping his hands on his already filthy coveralls. Honestly, we're on a derelict ship with failing life support. Drifting into a gravity well that'll crush us into component atoms in about 6 hours. A big scary alien showing up is like, concern number 4 on my list? Maybe 5. What are concerns 1 through 3? 1. Getting the drive operational. 2. Restoring navigation. 3. Figuring out what happened to the other 47 people who were supposed to be on this ship. Evan's expression darkened briefly. The escape pods are gone. Everyone else made it out before whatever knocked us offline. I stayed because someone had to try to save the ship and cargo, medical supplies for a colony outbreak. Understanding crept into KRYX's awareness like dawn breaking. This human wasn't fearless. Evan simply had priorities that superseded fear. The hunter recognized it, had felt it during hunts when injury or mission parameters outweighed self-preservation instincts. You chose to face death for supplies meant for others. Well, when you say it like that, it sounds noble. Really, I just hate leaving problems unsolved. Evan's grin was lopsided. Okay, releasing the chamber on 3. 1, 2, 3. The resonance chamber slotted into place with a satisfying click. The quantum drive hummed to life, its core pulsing with steady blue light. Yes, Evan pumped his fist. Okay, navigation's next, but we've got time now. The drive will keep us stable. He stood, stretching with several audible pops, then extended a grease-stained hand toward KRYX. Thanks for the help. I'm Evan, by the way. KRYX stared at the offered hand. A greeting gesture, as if they were equals collaborating, not predator and prey. Slowly, carefully, KRYX extended one massive paw and gently, so gently, clasped Evan's hand. The human's palm barely covered one of KRYX's digital pads. KRYX, the hunter said. Nice to meet you, KRYX. Evan's grip was firm despite the size difference. You any good with navigation systems? Fair warning. Everything's in standard and the interface is designed for human hands. But I can adapt if I will assist. The words emerged before KRYX fully processed them. But looking at this small human who had stayed behind to save strangers, who had faced the galaxy's most feared predator and seen only someone with hands who could hold things steady, KRYX found certainty settling into place. For 6 hours, they worked together. Evan explained human engineering with enthusiasm, pointing out elegant solutions and cursing poorly designed components with equal vigor. KRYX discovered that while the Valthrakian hunting protocols were unmatched, they knew remarkably little about quantum mechanics or navigation systems. They also discovered that Evan's humming, previously discordant, was actually soothing when you understood the rhythm of it matched his working pace. When the Meridian's Hope finally limped into the colony's orbital space, 3 hours behind schedule, but intact, Evan transmitted the docking codes and turned to KRYX. So what now? You got somewhere to be? Someone to terrify? KRYX's quills rippled, cycling through colors they had never shown before. Deep purple, uncertain blue, settling finally on a warm amber. I find, KRYX said slowly, that I am reconsidering my approach to many things. Yeah. Evan started gathering his tools. Well, if you want to reconsider over some station food, my treat. Figure I owe you for the assist. Plus, I want to hear about those 17-star systems. And maybe you could help me understand why everyone designs airlock mechanisms so aggressively. I've got theories. The galaxy's most feared predator followed a grease-stained human engineer out of the engine room, listening to theories about airlock design, and felt something like fear for the first time. Not fear of something. Fear of returning to what had been before, to hunts without conversation, to reputation without connection, to being feared without being known. KRYX had stalked prey across 17-star systems and learned nothing. It took one human engineer 6 hours to teach the hunter that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can encounter isn't what you fear, but what makes you question whether fear was ever the point at all. The quills along KRYX's spine glowed warm amber as they walked, and the hunter thought that perhaps, just perhaps, Evan was right. Everything had changed indeed.